Good morning and welcome to everyone. It's great to see so many people from all around the country and beyond. And I'd even know we've got guests here today from Romania and Nigeria. I'd like to introduce myself to you all, as there are many here who I've not yet met but hope to get to know you. I'm Val Huxley, co founder with my husband Bill, who's also here. Say hi, Bill, wave, and the CEO of People Against Poverty. Our charity works with international and UK projects that we can personally engage with to help change lives by releasing communities from poverty. Our business division of the charity, Business Against Poverty, is a movement of businesses who care about the issues of poverty and ethical standards and are taking action. By partnering with us, they are supporting the reduction of UK and international poverty and changing lives of thousands through our work. That's a little about me, but I'd now like to introduce you to Paul, our co-chair of trustees, who will be our moderator of this event and ensure that we stick to timing so that you can get back to your offices within the hour. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Val, and welcome to everybody on this second webinar that we are running today. My name is Paul van Haver, and I've been involved with People Against Poverty and Business Against Poverty for several years as a trustee and co-chair of the Board of Trustees. So I'm excited to facilitate this session with you all today. And so just briefly wanted to run through the order of play. So we have two fantastic guests here today. We have Valentin Kirika, our project lead for the Way of Joy project in Romania, with us today. And a second speaker, Ali Stewart, who's a executive leadership coach and a mentor. And both will do a short presentation to you today, really around the specific topic of our webinar today, Leadership in Challenging Times, each in their own way. The presentations are then followed by a short time for some key questions we want to ask the panels in a sort of short panel discussion, followed by an open question and answer time from yourself. And we're aiming to close exactly at 11:30. So that's roughly what's going to happen today. Only other thing to say that I want to ask for everyone to go on mute. And with that, I will happily hand over to our first speaker of today, Valentin. Valentin, take it away.
My name is Valentin Kirika, and I'm the founder of Way of Joy organization. And I'm very happy to have the chance to make this presentation of our work together with People Against Poverty for so long time. Way of Joy is a Christian organization that carries out relief activities of the needy social categories living in conditions of maximum poverty, rejected and abandoned at the lowest margins of our society. About our vision, I could say that it was born immediately after the fall of communism, when due to the transition and poverty caused by the old system, the social category of poor people grew exponentially. The streets were filled with children from orphanages where they were abandoned and forgotten, not only by the system, but also by their own families. After the change of the political system, these institutions of death were opened, and most of those who were imprisoned there escaped in a real life without having the slightest knowledge about the world and life. Society has proved powerless in the face of such a problem and has continued to reject and marginalize this new social segment, which needed to be recognized and valued. Most of them because they remain without a source of income, unable to pay their debts. They sold their homes and ended up living with their children in ghettos or in the famous ghost blocks without electricity, water, heat, or toilets. I was among the thousands of people who lost their jobs then, and I can say that life has become very hard and unexpectedly unstable. With no income, 2 small children, no chance of employment, most of the time without bread, we lived our lives from one day to the next. I remember that at that time, I was visited at home by some dirty children with very scared eyes who asked me for a piece of bread, and I didn't have either. But what I was able to offer them was just my attention along with a smile and a few caresses. The next day, I was visited again, but this time by a group of over 10 children who wanted nothing more than to see me and to talk to me. I was deeply marked by this, and at that moment, the desire was born to do something for them in order to recover their social integration. We have partnered with People Against Poverty since 2004, and together we have developed our 4 stages to independency. Stage 1, the vision. You know, being able to share a vision with someone and then working together to bring it to a reality is a special relationship, one of which we value each other's views to understand that we all want to reach the final outcome of total self-sufficiency for families who are living in desperate poverty. Step 2 is mobilize. We have to start at the very basics with the families we interact with. They have nothing. Makeshift homes made by wood, metal, or mud without any facilities. In fact, they have to walk miles to collect a bottle of water from the well. So to begin, we work with the children to give them their basics rights through our child sponsorship program. For a minimal sum each month, we can ensure that basic essential for the existence and development of a child in normal conditions in the native family. This amount is needed to cover urgent necessities for daily living, ensuring a minimum basics diet. You know, most people have only a piece of bread and potatoes to eat all day long. And then providing a nurse, because the conditions they are living, they are smelling, they don't have clean clothes, so they don't have courage to visit a doctor. So it's very important for them to be able to see by a doctor. And we have examples of children who never see a doctor, and some of them died because of that. And then we purchase of school supplies. These children, they never go to school if somebody is not coming to give a hand of help for them. So they needed to get everything in order to be able to start going to school. And they have no clothes, they have no footwear. So we purchase of clothing and footwear periodically. And then allocation of an amount for socializing activities and special occasions, like celebrating their birthdays when we have a possibility. And periodically we invite them to camps. But most important thing is to take them into town to have their personal experience in living and seeing a new dimension of the life. The effectiveness of this program was proved by the fact that most of the children we worked with regained their identity as children by the fact that someone accepted them as they are and offered them a helping hand in need. Hundreds of children have benefited from this program over the years. Some have graduated from school and now work and contribute to the well-being of the family. The parents have a crucial role in the process of rehabilitation. We need to gain the trust of the parents. We want to empower them, to encourage them to fend for their own families. Through this stage, we are able to work either as individuals or in group settings and demonstrate to them how their lives could be if they were to focus on learning. This could be simply learning of social skills, as many of the families we work with do not have these abilities. We want to encourage them to change their mindset, to look beyond today. When we have focused and got the trust of these families, we can move onto step 3, developing. We are able now to support young people in their education, provide the means for them to attend university. I remember my adoptive daughter, Nicoletta. When I first met her, she was living in the Fountain Block. She was abandoned by her family when she was 5 years old. And when she became 8, she started to experience such a bad life, because people who took care of her abused her, even sexually abused. And I remember she was desperate one day, and she came to the Way of Joy for a little water, and she started crying, telling me to help her, because those people wanted to use her for prostitution in the street. So we decided to take Nicoletta just in that moment, but I can tell you that was very dangerous for Way of Joy, for myself too, because in that Fountain Block, there are a lot of bad things happening, prostitutions, drug distribution, alcohol, and violence is very, very dangerous. So we took the risk, and we took Nicoletta. And what I can say now, after so many years being involved in her life, and I want to give thanks to People Against Poverty, because without their help, we could never do what we did for Nicoletta. And Nicoletta now has her own family. He graduated her university, and she is a very strong example in our society, and is a strong encouragement for Way of Joy, and I hope for People Against Poverty too. Development is the stage that takes the longest as families learn to trust, build up the relationship needed for them believe that they do have a future. Nicoletta has a future now, and we trust that in the future, hundreds of children and people who live in the poverty will be able to be to have the same experience. Final stage, enabling. Our microfarm is a good measurement of our stage 4 to independency. The project began in 2014 with People Against Poverty purchasing a piece of land. Taking the vision of the project leader Costel, we developed the land into a small holding with chickens, where we then developed polytunnels and buildings to keep animals safe and warm. The project reached its potential complete with the farmhouse in 2019 when it made a little profit. The microfarm has provided jobs for those who could never imagine ever working due to their inability to read and write. Provides also constant food for the canteen program, which feeds over 50 children each week. It's a bridge from one dimension of life to another. In our case, this bridge ensures and guarantees the successful crossing from the area of poverty and social abandonment in the area of a reality of a normal life where you find yourself as a human being and where you regain the dignity and your personality that are blocked or stolen of this tyrant who is the poverty. Through this experience, it has helped us discover among those poor and marginalized people a great potential for strong leaders, which we can prepare to be a motivation and a practical example for the whole community. I will end now with our vision for the next 5 years. We are now back on the ladder at step 2 with our Łużyca project. This community is isolated between forests, distance of about 40 kilometers far from Iași, without means of transport and without the possibility of self-support. The school is at a distance of about 7 kilometers, and kids are required to walk back and forth this distance daily. The medical center is located about 10 kilometers away, so medical services are virtually non-existent. More than 80 families live mostly illiterate, with more than 500 children in desperate need of help. This project is initiated based on a practical experience that the effectiveness of which is proven by the microfarm development of a copy project at Untitled. With Bill and Val, we found new leaders in Vasile and Camelia, a couple who came from the Dallas area where I first began my work. Vasile was an alcoholic man, and Camelia, I met her when she was only 8 years old when she lost her mom dying by cancer. And she had an alcoholic father who sold her house. So later on, she became homeless, and she came to live in Dallas area where she met Vasile. They were sharing their own food with children from Urshica when we visited them at their humble home. Straight away, we could see the passion and love that they had for these kids who were so needy, dirty, smelly. Immediately, we put children onto our child sponsorship program, and then we started introducing the community project, which is now running to support not only the children, but their parents also. Excuse me. The vision for Urshica, it's ambitious project that requires long-term investments, but which aims to impact and engage the entire community in carrying out the proposed activities. We are already developing the canteen and providing educational and spiritual programs with a number of about 50 children. For the implementation of the community development project at Urshica, we are now looking at a period of 5 years to build up the community whereby it will become self-sufficient, providing work, growing food for the community, and most of all, giving life back to the lifeless. Stage 1, it aims to provide food resources to children and to elderly and vulnerable families. We want to build 2 polytunnels for the production of vegetables and fruits and 2 mini farms for birds and animals. Stage 2, this stage is focusing on education, medical and legal assistance, because all of these goals are top priority. They can be started on outpatient basis. In education, we already work with children, but in an improvised center. Our goal is to build a strategic center which will be equipped with a doctor's office, dining room, kindergarten for preschool education, showers, and a playground for children. We are already thinking about transportation for the children who are exposed to danger every day by crossing the forest to get to school. And we are now bearing the cost of obtaining a driver's license for Vasile, our project leader from Urshica. The second stage, through building and arranging the multifunctional center, is a great opportunity for children and young people who actually represent the future of the community, and also a strategic way of preserving the life and values of the community. It will be a difficult time for us all, we know, especially during these COVID times. But as a team, for us in Romania and for people against poverty here in the UK, we know that working together, sharing our dreams, we will work our hardest to achieve our dream of fulfilling the Urshica community program and changing the lives of hundreds of people. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope that I could make myself understood with my poor English. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I can say we heard it and we felt it and we saw it. So thank you so much. Really appreciated for you to tell your story. And it shows you that going from vision to mobilization into developing and enablement is never a one thing. you find one place where that applies, you find another place, and you'll start again, and you adjust. And that certainly came through in your presentation. I think we had one question for you, Valentin, on the chat from Dean. I think, right, Val, which was to do with where in Romania you are. I think you spoke about a few of the cities there. Maybe not everybody is familiar with the geography of Romania.
Valentin, you need to unmute yourself. That's it.
I know, he is.
Okay, you mean where I am living in which area?
Yeah, exactly. Where do you live? What's your area of work geographically?
Yeah, Iași is situated somewhere in northeast of Romania, at the border with Moldavian Republic, and Ursița is 40 kilometers far from Iași towards Vaslui area, where we develop the other project that that we have, the microfarm.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, right on the edge of Europe, right? If I can say. And
Yeah.
obviously, you wouldn't know if you're used to living here in the Western world. You go out there, what you see, and it's there's a lot of need for sure. So thank you, Valentin.
Big pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you too. Have a little look in the chat window, various comments, and probably be encouraging to you. And thanks to your presentation. I'd like to take us to our next speaker, Ali, and who will tell us a little bit more about some of the process steps we have been talking about, and in the context of her leadership training and experience over the years. So Ali, over to you.
Thank you so much, Paul. And oh my goodness, I am just blown away, Valentin, by the most beautiful walk through the four-step process ever. So thank you so much. You really brought it to life, and it just shows what you can do. And it also shows the importance of every single step in the process. So what I'm going to do for you all right now is just share with you where this process came from, and what happens when we don't use all of it, and what some of the skills are specifically at each of those stages. So Paul, if you could move me on a slide, that would be brilliant. So the four-step process that Valentin walked us through comes from the liberating leadership approach. And this has come from over 25 years of research, testing, refining. And what we found was the highest performing leaders all work with a central mindset, a four-step process, a set of skills, and also the most amazing ability to be able to surf the waves of change. Am I able to move the slides? No. So there we go. We're surfing the waves of change, and it sets us up well even in times of global change like the pandemic. Rather than being submerged by these waves, the highest performing leaders are able to rise above them. It would be no good if Valentin, for instance, became submerged. He wouldn't be there to help all his people. So the process is what sets the highest performing leaders apart from just mediocre leaders. And it has to be delivered within the context of the mindset. And the mindset is one of high challenge and high support. It would be no good if Val with the charity or Valentin with the teams in Romania just layered support on them. That's not going to do them any good at all. They need an equal amount of challenge to encourage people to be the best they can be and take responsible initiative. So we need the perfect balance of challenge and support, and then the 4-step process can flow from there. Before we get into the process though, I've got a little quiz for you. And what I'm going to do is tell you a situation, and then I'm going to give you 4 possible responses, A, B, C, or D. When I've shown you the responses, Paul is going to put a poll up, and I'd like you to be able to select A, B, C, or D. The liberating leadership practitioners who are joining us on the call today are not allowed to play, but I'm sure you'll be very interested to see the results. So the situation is this, are you ready? The performance of your team is good, and so is the relationship between you and them. However, you're starting to feel a little bit left out and you miss the direct involvement. So if we could click over, Paul, and show them the responses, that would be great. So do we A, leave things as they are? Do we B, discuss the situation with the team and then make changes in ways of operating? Or C, take steps to re-secure your direct involvement in all decisions? Or D, take the opportunity to provide a bit more advice to team members? So just to tell you the situation again, the performance of your team is good, and so is the relationship between you and them. However, you're starting to feel a little left out and miss the direct involvement. Please select the response that resonates with you. Paul, you'll need to let me know if they're doing it because I can't see on my screen.
I'm so sorry. I thought everybody was seeing this, but I see the votes coming in for sure. We
Wonderful.
have 20 people out of 35 have voted. So I will wait just a little longer, and then I will end the poll and we see the results, I think.
Well, if you end the poll and hold on to the results, because when I've explained the 4-step process, then we'll have a look at the results. Is that okay?
Of course.
As long as you've got them, I'm really happy.
Yeah. Okay, so 27 out of 35 have voted. So I'm going to end the poll. It doesn't look anyone else is going to. Yeah, here we go.
Thank you to those 27 for playing.
And I think that's what the result looks like. You see that?
I can see that, Paul. Thank you. So 7% said A, 67% said B, 7% said C, 19 said D. Thank you. So that's 7, 67, 7 and 19. Lovely. Thank you. I will share what that all means at the end. Thank you. So if we could move on. Wonderful.
Okay, here we go. That was your quiz.
Perfect. Lovely. So this one kind of clicks through as I speak, Paul. So as we've heard, the very first stage is visioning. Then we go to mobilizing, then developing, then enabling. Now, what is really curious and what came across very much in the way Valentin was talking about the project was you have to have the vision in the first place. It's no good if you don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what you were doing. You then go about mobilizing your troops. Those are the vital underpinning stages of any project. You can't get going until you've done those stages. They take a lot of time, a lot of energy. They take resilience from the leaders working in that area, but it's very rewarding. We call these the transactional stages. It's the day-to-day, how we do what we need to do and why we're doing it. And then all of a sudden you see people's internal motivation kicking in and they want to then start doing it. And you can switch your style to developing and then enabling. You bring out the best in them. And those final two stages we call the transformational stages. And that is where the magic happens. The magic can only happen, though, if you've done the underpinning groundwork of stages 1 and 2. So going back to visioning, it's really important, first of all, to understand who you are. Anybody can be a leader. You can be extroverted, introverted, tall, small, red, yellow, green or blue. It doesn't matter. What you need to do is be authentic, make it visible, make it consistent. So the first skill here is be visible. And there's a little button to click here, Paul, just to be visible. And after you've taken stock of the environment, you then need to set your vision. You can't just set your vision without understanding what's going on around you. So Valentin described that. He saw what was going on in the ghettos. He saw what needed to be done. He saw what could happen. So you set your vision. Then you go about mobilizing your troops. And here you need great clarity. We call it explicitness. We need to very clearly say why we're doing what we're doing. We give feedback every day on how people are doing so they know how they're performing. And we nip performance issues in the bud. So we manage performance critically. If we don't sort out poor behavior at this stage, it's much more difficult to sort out bad habits at a later stage. So it's really important. Then as the person begins to get it, you need to really tap into what motivates them. You really need to get their motivation, get under the skin of what's making them tick, because it might not be the same as you, the leader. So you really get their motivation. And then what you need to do is flex your style, because you don't need to be as clear and giving feedback all the time like you were doing. It's much more collaborative and coaching. It's much more we're in it together now. They get it, you get it. It's a really exciting stage to be. So often what we see in the business world is that leaders get stuck there, or we get stuck at one or two places because of our personality style. But this place particularly is so exciting because things are actually happening. Your vision is starting to take shape. But what's really important is you mustn't stop there. You must keep going to the final enabled stage where the student becomes the master, where the farm is created and everybody's in on it. And so what we're doing is we're empowering other people. We're handing over responsibility. We're getting our hands off the controls and we stop meddling. And then what we do is provide continued support. Valentin talked about, the farm is established. They've got people having jobs. They've never had jobs before. And now they've found Ushita where they need help. And that's the next 5-year vision. But it doesn't mean they stop paying attention to the farm. They still need support and encouragement to keep going. So just thinking about the quiz that you did a moment ago, 7% of you, and Paul, if we could have the next screen and just see the responses again, super, thank you. 7% of you in that situation, the performance of your team is good, so is the relationship between you and them. However, you're starting to feel a little left out and miss the direct involvement. The only response you need here is A, leave things as they are. So anybody who responded A, round of applause, that's absolutely spot on. Responses B, C, and D are all about you. You're feeling left out. This is about you. It's not about the team. So this is the perfect place now where your team is at the enabled stage. It leaves you and your creative vision, like Ushita, going on to the next opportunity, the next thing that you need to do. So we leave things as they are. And that is all I've got for you. So thank you so much for engaging. I hope that was helpful.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Ali. I thought that was really great and gave so much context to the process that we actually heard about in action, if you like, through Valentine. So let me just check. I don't know, Valerie, if there are any questions for Ali at this point in the chat.
No, I haven't had any questions for Ali, but if there's anyone that would like to ask a question, if you want to put your hand up and unmute yourself. Is there anyone? No. Oh, Claire.
Yep.
Claire, can you unmute yourself, please?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Ali. That was really interesting. I didn't catch the name of who wrote the book with you.
Dr. Derek Biddle. He's a chartered occupational psychologist. He's my guide and mentor. He's now 83 and he's been retired for a number of years. But he is the person I've worked with all these years.
Just to say that Ali has written 3 books and they are available on Amazon. So promoting that for you, Ali.
Thank you, Val.
Which are great. I mean, I've got all of them. Well, I've got 2 of them. I haven't got the 3rd one. But yeah, they're very, very good. Whilst I'm on books, if I may, Valentine was talking about Nicoletta. I don't know if you can see this. About 5 years ago, it's got to be 5 years, Nicoletta wrote her story and put it into a short book. And we sponsored the book to be translated into English. So if anyone's interested in purchasing this, if you do, the money goes directly back to Nicoletta. So we charge £5 a book plus the postage and packing, or, you know, we can deliver it if you're local. But if you're interested in hearing Nicoletta's story, I think we've got about, I would say about 10 copies left. So there's not many. But if you want to hear her story from where she started in the Phantom Block, which you saw at the beginning of Valentine's images, to where she is now, just leave me a message. But I am going to send out a survey, so you could add stuff in there if you want. Okay.
Thank you, Val. So back to the presentations then, and no questions at this point in time, which is fine. So I wanted to ask all of you something else. So I have kind of another polling question here. You know, we heard a lot about setting vision and about then taking that vision and start to action it. And I wonder what you all think. You know, you're all leaders in your own organizations or communities. Do you find it hard to, once you've set the vision, to move into mobilizing those around you and work with you? Is that an easy thing? What's your opinion? Does that come natural? So just a general question to see what you all think about that. So go ahead and tell me what you think on the poll. Two people have done that, so 23, thank you. 70% of you have voted, almost there. Excellent, thank you. So I'll end it here and share the results. So here we are. So 41% of you thought that they somewhat agree that that is hard, and 24 agree. It's certainly not an easy thing to do, I think we all agree. And so I actually have a question for you, Valentine, if I may. We heard you talk about the very early stages in 2004 when you mingled with these kids and really they were after maybe a hug and some attention, and you developed a vision on what you felt you needed to do. I just wondered how that worked with the people around you, you know, your family, your friends, the people that were in there with you. Did your vision immediately translate to them? Were they coming along? Was it easy for you to bring them along on the journey, or did that take a long time?
All right. It's always good and not good at the same time to remember how everything started, because it started with a lot of tears, and being involved in such an area doesn't captivate too many people, especially in Romania. And it was very hard in the beginning. I remember when those kids came second time to visit me, they did not have any expectations of me to give them something material. But they needed to fulfill their emotional need. And that broke my heart. And just in that day, I started thinking of mobilizing myself to do something. And the only ones that gave me a positive response were my family, was my wife. It was a very hard time because I was unemployed, no income, no bread for my family, and it was very, very hard to start doing something for these needy children, but was in the same time was very encouraging for me because they didn't ask for physical need. They asked for emotional. So I really had to give them so much in this area. But when you know that they are hungry, they are beaten, they are rejected, you need to think of the material need also. So me and my wife started by boiling some water in our home, coloring with some sugar, and starting to visit them in tunnels, in railway stations, with all we had, with a little cup of tea. But later on, when my friends came to know about what I'm doing, they came alongside, and not very late, we could organize ourselves as a team. But things became easier and very clear when we came to meet Val and Bill, because we did not have too much resources to be able to develop the mission, the program. So it was very, very important to meet them because they came with their experiences and their advices, and then with their financial support, and step by step, we started to organize as a very strong team. And
Well, I
thank
think,
you again. Thank you again.
So what clearly comes out here, there was a meeting of minds, wasn't it? You know, the need on the street translated also not just to you, but to your wife. And then there was a meeting of minds in meeting Bale and Val, and there was a need on the street, and you could join forces really together and act upon that. You know, I think a powerful story here, and thank you, Valentin, for that. There are some other questions too on the chat at the moment, and I just wanted to give people opportunity to ask that really, or just react. I see something from Suzanne Shaw. Do you want to elaborate on what you've put in the chat? Maybe come off mute and say something.
Hi, so I've been busy doing a lot of chatting with Val as well. So was it about the mobilizing stage, Paul?
Piloting an online program with leaders who are new to their role.
Yeah. So when you were talking about moving from visioning to mobilizing, having taken the delegates through this process, finding that there seems to be a lot of resistance in managing poor performance, and yeah, I'd be interested what Ali has to say on this. I think from a capability perspective, there's perhaps not the competence and the confidence to do it, so there's a skill will issue, but certainly there's that whole thing about wanting to be you know, a friend. Often those people have been part of the team and then leading the team. And it's that whole thing about where they stand in terms of, you know, being too friendly. So then they're finding it difficult to actually then manage some of the undesirable behaviours. So it's just been quite fascinating going through that process.
Mm-hmm. So Suzanne, if I can just answer that really quickly, it all goes back to the vision for that team. What are they actually trying to do? I know it's a really flat structure. It starts with the vision, and then there must be somebody with overall control, or some people with overall control. Not everybody is the absolute owner of the business, are they? So at some point, the people in control decide. It can be a team decided vision, but the leader takes overall responsibility for that vision, and then you hold everybody to account. But in that visioning state, the leader is setting themselves up to be remote and approachable. They can't be friends with everybody anymore. It just can't work like that when you do have to manage performance issues. So it's really important to just go back to the vision. Why are we here? What are we trying to achieve? What behaviors are we going to allow? What are we not going to allow?
I think that also speaks to a question Jeremy had, and thank you, Suzanne. It says, if it's all about the team, not the leader, then why does the leader set the vision? Shouldn't it be a team effort? Which I think speaks to what you've just said too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I may say so, I disagree. I suggest that the purpose of the leader is to facilitate the team deciding what they're going to do before they do it. So that the leader should create a facilitating environment through a coaching approach, which empowers the team right from the beginning, not starts empowering them a bit later on in the project.
And that is an interesting thought, Jeremy. It assumes that people have got a level of competence and skill. If they're not at that level, it's really hard to get that going in the first place.
I think in business, then you have to assume that the people in the business have been recruited at some point by the owners. And therefore, if the owner has recruited people who are not competent, then there's a deeper problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I'm afraid you haven't convinced me.
Well, I guess that's okay.
That is
Thank you.
absolutely okay.
Thank you, Jeremy. Much appreciated. So I think we're edging towards the end of today, and so I really want to thank our speakers and also you all for voting and sharing your views and opinions and encouragement. I'll give it back to Val to close us for today.
Yeah, so I just want to say I hope you've enjoyed this morning's webinar and been able to learn new ways of working which you can put into your own business practice. If you're interested in our work overall, I'd love the opportunity to speak to you about our project work on an individual basis. But also, if you're interested in joining our Business Against Poverty movement, which is beneficial to all sizes of businesses, whether you're a sole trader or a massive, corporate. I'm going to be sending out a short survey this afternoon, and would ask you if you could complete that for us, because it enables us to develop these webinars as we go throughout the year. And you can add any comments in there that you think would be applicable to help us get these out. So thank you again for joining us this morning. I'm delighted with the turnout, and hope you all come to our future events. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and hope to see you at the next webinar. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.